Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, I've got a question for you. What was the score of the Steelers game Sunday? Who knows it? 15-30, okay. How many people out there know it? Shout it out. Or want to forget it? Okay, how many people know what the percentage of asthma is in our city? Phil, are you out there? Case in point, what numbers do we pay attention to? What are the ones that matter to us? And how do we start reframing data and how we work with it in our city and put it around a framework that we can all, I think, relate to as easily as we can relate to who won the Steelers game? I'm going to tee up this whole session around performance. We're going to actually make this one fairly short, but it's pretty important. I think a lot of us, when we think about performance, we think about data, we think about science, we think about statistics. I'd like to put forth 5 ways to think about performance. The first one is this notion of a promise or a commitment we make. And I'm going to use the example here of the convention center. We made a promise. We decided that we wanted to have the world's first green convention center. And we did it. We did it. So I feel like if we can do that, we can do anything. But we made that promise, we fulfilled it, and we did it. So first way to think about performance, making a claim and fulfilling that. Second area is the ability to perform. How do we create systems that actually help us succeed in how we perform? And I'm seeing Jamil sit right there. And we had an in-depth conversation with several great people around this notion of opportunity. And a big part of that was the systems. The systems aren't there. So when we think about performance, we have to think about, have we created the systems that are going to allow people to perform and to really do the things that we want to do, and what are those systems that we need to do that? The third area around performance is, how do people react? We have to really think about what the behavioral aspects of performance are. Will people deny? We know what's going on in some arenas right now. Will they embrace it? Will they turn the other way? What will change behavior and allow people to think about how do they want to perform? The next area is comparative, in that we really need to think about performance as a way of comparing ourselves. And I just have to throw this in: Donald, Hillary. Comparative. Go where you want with that. But how we think about, how we compare ourselves. We wanted to be the world's best, most green convention center in the world. Why not be the world's best city when it comes to creating an inclusive economy? We can do that. We can do that. I know we can do that, but we have to determine how we're going to measure it. So this last point that I want to make before we bring out our speakers is performance from a standpoint of what motivates action. What can we do? What are the measures? What are the ways that people will be motivated? We can throw a bunch of numbers out there, but they may not mean anything to anybody. So what measures will motivate you? What is important to you? Is it what's going on with your child, how they're doing in school? What is going on in our city? Crime rates? What is it that motivates people? We have to come up with the right set of measures in the right ways in which we think about performance in a way that it's going to motivate people to act. And so if we can sort of think about those 5 areas: fulfilling a promise, creating the ability to perform, what do we have to do around the behavior component, how do we compare, where do we want to be, and then how do we motivate action? And I'm really challenging us to think about performance with P4 with that type of a framing and how we really want that aspect of what P4 is about I think, to help move us forward. And so with that, I'm going to just briefly, I think they will talk about great things and you'll learn more about them. But we have two speakers. We have Bruce Katz, which I know many of you are familiar with. He was here last year. And Bruce is just doing amazing work around the globe, around cities, and his focus right now on an innovation economy really means a lot for us. I think we have to think about how that term translates to an innovation economy for all. And what does that mean? Who's part of that? And then secondly, Sepp Kamvar, who is the MIT Media Lab. And I really love what he's doing because he really is building that human element, and he's really creating patterns around how do we build this into how we make decisions around community development. So we have two great speakers coming up. I am on time, and we are going to move this session along well so we can get to some more fun stuff later this afternoon. Thank you all.